Hello everyone and welcome to Season 8, Episode 2 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host Travis McNeil, and today we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches of 2022 with match number 49 on our list, which is the UWN World Title match between the champion Jordan Clearwater and the challenger Danny Limelight from the UWN Championship Wrestling episode from December 23rd, 2022. This match is an ultimate hidden gem, I would say, for me personally in the year 2022. It was a match that in no way, shape, or form was on my radar. My friend Kevin Ford, who will probably end up watching this episode, recommended it to me, and I was so happy that he did, because this match is everything that I love about professional wrestling. This is the most simple face versus heel, David versus Goliath story for a world championship that, sure, it's not, the most well-known world championship, but for these two wrestlers, you would swear it was the NWA title in 1985. It's made so prestigious, and this is just a wonderful piece of work of television. I know nothing about the UWN outside of like a random Priscilla Kelly versus Thunder Rosa match. I don't think I've ever watched the program at all. But again, this was recommended to me, and this did such a good job of immediately throwing me into the story and making me feel as though that this is a big match, which is exactly how the company is trying to portray it. You get a really great Danny Limelight promo to kick off the episode that's just full of fire and realism, and he does such an amazing job talking and putting over the defending champion, the man he's going to be facing, which, is Wrestling 101. And as I record this video, there was an episode of Monday Night Raw this past week that kind of got talked about online because it featured John Cena returning and basically, trash talking Austin Theory and basically just cutting him into ribbons, talking about how he's horrible and boring and fans don't like him and the WWE needs to pipe in, crowd reactions to his matches and all of this stuff to ultimately set up a WrestleMania match between them. And to me, Wrestling 101, this is a really known thing that you hear all the time is, when you cut up your opponent in that regard and basically bury them, well, when you end up beating them, who did you beat, right? It makes nobody look good at the end of the day. And this Danny Limelight promo is so good because he talks about, Jordan Clearwater being this threat and being this champion and all of the names that he's defeated. And he mentions, all of these big names, guys like Carlito that, a mainstream fan may know, and guys like Willie Mack, who, a slightly less mainstream fan may know. And does this really good job, boosting up the man that ultimately he's going to try to be defeating, but gives his rationale about how, Jordan Clearwater's been this successful champion, but he cheats, he takes shortcuts, whereas Danny Limelight has had to grind and hustle his way to this main event spot he's finally achieved. And, it makes you feel for him and want him to win the title. And then the flip side of the coin is you get this Jordan Clearwater promo, and Jordan Clearwater is, in a way, the most generic kind of, Adonis, heel that you've ever seen. He's, super, super tall, probably, 6'7", 6'8", really tall guy, chiseled body, long blonde hair, has the whole, Rick Rude kind of old school gimmick. Just so unlikable, looks like, somebody that, would go on social media and spout, right-wing propaganda and would just make me hate him. So perfect heel for pro wrestling, essentially. And he cuts this promo, basically trash-talking Danny Limelight in the crowd. And, there's just this, slight, racial, undertones to it of, someone like you shouldn't be champion. Someone like you doesn't look like a champion. Someone like me does. They do such a good job presenting this story that for someone like me that doesn't follow the UWN product at all, I could drop in with one episode and immediately be hooked for this match. Now this match, doesn't reinvent the wheel. It's really basic. But again, to the UWN's credit, they do such a good job of giving it this big fight feel. We get a great video package. Some Latin singer sings Danny Limelight to the ring, like it's WrestleMania, kind of giving it a cool atmosphere. But what really sets this match apart is the crowd and the atmosphere. So UWN, I don't know if they run regularly, but they run this event out of the Improv in I believe, Irvine, California. And it's just this great venue where all around ringside you have, booths with people sitting and eating and watching the wrestling. And it's so old school and it's got such this great vibe to it. And it's this like amazing eclectic mix of fans. You have one table where it's a mom with her 2 young children and they're eating chicken wings and drinking pop and booing the bad guys and cheering, Danny Limelight on. And there's a table, full of kind of like jockey kind of frat guys. And there's, a table full of like older wrestling fans that probably watched, the NWA and the AWA and the WWF, in the 70s and 80s. There's a table full of like teenager, preteen girls that seem like they're there just for a fun night out, to go to the wrestling and get a little wild on their Shirley Temples, or whatever, right? It's such this amazing mix. And I don't think there is one fan there that, cheers the bad guy. And I love that so much. And what I love about it so much is that it seems really genuine. And I think in wrestling, especially in the year 2023, fans, a lot of times they feel like they have to play along, right? Like that's their role as a fan. I need to play along, for this story that's being crafted. And I could just be naive watching this, but it really feels like these people are living and dying with Danny Limelight and absolutely hate Jordan Clearwater. This match, for what is essentially an independent wrestling match, has, maybe my favorite crowd of any match in 2022. They're so hot. They're so vocal. They have great, chants like "Not my champ" that they chant at Jordan Clearwater, which is so good. Danny Limelight's babyface performance in this match is excellent. He bumps like a pinball. He takes all of these big, Bret Hart style whips chest first into the, into the corner post and bumps over the top rope, Harley Race style, and bumps through the ropes and just does such a great job. And Jordan Clearwater is such a basic wrestler, right? He uses body slams and things like that. But the size, difference in this match makes everything look so good. And with Danny's bumping and selling and Clearwater just being this gigantic piece of garbage, taunting the crowd and taunting Danny Limelight at every opportunity he has, it just builds this heat up throughout this match. And Jordan Clearwater's this huge dude, but he has an even bigger bodyguard, this guy named Talos at ringside with him. And they do a bunch of great, little interference spots with him. And, Danny Limelight, tries to be fiery and dive onto him, but he gets caught and ran into the ring post. And they do such a great job building up heat. But there's so much good little things in this match too. And like I said, at its core, this match is pretty basic. But sometimes with basic wrestling comes all of these little things that I feel like wrestlers today don't quite understand as much or don't, pay as much attention to. And it's why, for me, I love all styles of wrestling. I love all eras of pro wrestling. But I can go back and watch wrestling from the 70s and 80s and arguably sometimes be more entertained by that than wrestling that I am today. And it's all of these little things. And, you hear, these Cornette fans and people like that are so against modern wrestling and they live in the past, but I don't think they quite know why they live in the past. I almost feel like it's for clout or recognition. But what I love is just these little things, these little crowd interactions. And they do so much of that here with, Danny looking out to the crowd and trying to draw their inspiration in to will him to keep fighting, firing himself up, biting the top rope, hitting himself in the head to fire up. All of these wonderful little things. When he gets an advantage early on in the match, he tries to grab a side headlock and he can't because of the size difference. But when Clearwater has him on the mat, he does a quick kip up. And while Clearwater's on his knees, only at that point can Danny grab the side headlock. It's all really good, really basic stuff. They do modernize this a little bit. Danny Limelight hits a really great dive where he basically flies over the top rope and does a complete 360. It looked really, really good and almost kind of felt a little unexpected in the match, which I liked. They build into this really, really big moment of him overcoming the odds where, he manages to evade Talos. We get a ref bump off of a big boot, which I'm assuming is one of Clearwater's finishers because they really put it over like death. Danny Limelight grabs like a rear naked choke, which they, do a really good job on commentary establishing that that's his finishing maneuver. It seems like he's going to put Clearwater out, but he gets hit with the belt by Talos. That leads to this moment where Danny Limelight's partner, Slice Boogie, and his manager, they had a team called the Bodega, I guess, filling myself in on the story through commentary. They come out and run off Talos. Clearwater gets another belt shot. We get a second referee in, for a really hot 2 count. And I love all of this because it's overbooking that we see so often in the WWE. We see it, starting to see it a little bit more in AEW as well, unfortunately. But it works so well here because of this genuine crowd reaction. And it leads to this amazing payoff where, of course, Danny Limelight ends up overcoming the odds. He gets blasted with the big boot, gets his foot on the rope for a hot 2, and he grabs that rear naked choke, and he's able to make Jordan Clearwater submit after a really great struggle. And it literally feels like this man has won the WWF Championship in the main event of WrestleMania or the NWA Championship in the main event of Starrcade. The crowd comes completely unglued. He shows so much emotion. It's such a wonderful moment. And it's, again, everything I love about wrestling. My favorite wrestling moment of all time is when Ron Simmons wins the WCW Heavyweight Championship from Vader, and that fan comes running to the rail. And, you've got young fans at ringside jumping up and down and, giving high fives and things like that. And it's everything I love. It's what made me a fan when I was a kid, and it's what's keeping and making new fans of kids today. This match is so much fun. It's basic wrestling done well, all encapsulated in a perfect, 1 hour television, it airs on YouTube, but television broadcast that I would honestly put up there with some of the best episodes of ECW television of all time. Just an absolutely wonderful story that's easy to jump into, easy to digest, and gives you all of the fulfillment that you want out of a perfect pro wrestling match. I love this match so much. I was so happy I got to watch it. Just like my friend Kevin Ford recommending it to me. If you watch this video and you haven't seen this match, it's available for free on YouTube. Go out of your way to watch it, and I hope you love it just as much as I did. You can subscribe to my channel here, of course, on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50, and please join me again next time as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50.